Okay, so again, if anyone knows, the actual reference for this letter, let me know, because I've been finding out some stuff. Who is this senior Johnny? Where, like, who owns this letter? How do we know this is real? That Joseph III wrote to Johnny Robinson trying to get the picture of his father copied, saying it's a real picture of his father. So I was just thumbing through the Memoirs of Joseph Smith III, and I put this on my website, which I apologize if you can't access it. I've tried to update some things to make sure it's a secure, like literally you put a check mark in a box and it's supposed to load and not have a weird warning on your website. So if I can't even get to my own website, obviously no one else can. But I wasn't making any money on it, so I haven't really cared. But I'll be getting a whole new one really soon with a much shorter address and a much easier to use builder, because I've had a lot of issues with what I've been using Weebly, which is actually based in Utah. And I'm just thinking they might be pro Scannell daguerreotype or something. I don't know why it's been such an issue since last summer, but it has been. But anyway, so I'm just going to jump forward into this. So on page 80 to 82 is what I'm referencing here. I do know that Joseph Smith III did travel. So he lives here from 1866 to like 1880 or so. And then he moves around to Iowa, and then he ends up settling in Missouri. So that's why that 1910 letter is from Missouri, and the community crisis is still in Missouri. There are like 200,000 members. Church of Christ Latter-day Saints were about 16 million, so there's quite a huge difference. But, I think they still believe in Book of Mormon. I don't know. They're a really small group, but they own a lot of stuff. They seemed really nice when I first started talking to them. Anyway, but the Memoirs, Joseph Smith III, that the Community of Christ used to be reorganized Church of Jesus Christ Latter-day Saints. So in 1860, there were a lot of members here. And I guess, so April 1860, I know he came here. And that's like halfway from Nauvoo, which I always have trouble finding on here. It's so small. I think I have to zoom in to find Nauvoo. But Nauvoo is pretty much like over there. So, and I know that she rode on a boat with him and they almost died, and it was really awful. But she came with him to Amboy to support her son. She never got rebaptized or anything, but I think even in 1860s, when I'm finding out, I think I was just trying to figure out, how did he end up in Plano? Why did he end up there 6 years later? But I think they really almost, I'm like, they all must have mostly been here. And so October, he ends up around here, and I'm going to explain that from there. In this next part, he's explaining that this was on the property of Israel L. Rogers, 4.5 miles southeast of Sandwich. And I know from some of his actual printed pictures that he'd been to Sandwich and gotten some pictures done there himself. But I've been trying to figure out how. Anyway, south of Sandwich, east. Plano's north. So he's getting really close, and then as he keep reading more, that's page 80. This is page 82. He says it's located on the Fox River. That's the Fox River. South of Sandwich, on the Fox River. Keep reading. A few miles from Millington in Georgetown, in an area that is, so Joseph Smith Jr., his father's cousin, George A. Smith, went, and where they labored, and a lot of people from New York were and I've been researching this Rogers, didn't have much success trying to find out exactly where he lived, and clearly Joseph III isn't sure either. But they're still pioneers. They're still figuring out the names. This is 1860. They're trying to figure out the names of these cities. They're probably not all set in stone. But Millington was and Newark was, and those haven't changed. Neither is Sandwich. But he's a few miles from Millington, like basically on the Fox River. And he's somewhere where his, where George A. Smith was. And, you know, like, I'm going to get a new website and everything, and I think I'm going to go ahead and list all my old videos. So 2017, my very first, like, October, I remember I made a video. If you watch it, all I knew, as far as Provenance went, I knew Newark was a place. The only thing I knew was that they had a branch out there. That's all I knew. I don't even mention Joseph Smith III. I knew nothing. Like, I think I was 6 months later. 7. I think it was like spring 2018 that I started figuring all this stuff out. Found out about Elijah Bibbins, and also found out about spiritual wifery and how bad the men were that killed Joseph Smith. They were not good guys. People. Not good guys. But yeah, they were, yeah. George A. Smith is in Newark. And a lot of these people are from New York. There's a lot of people, I mean, they still, the church really was everywhere. I've watched some other non-members criticize our church, being like, well, most churches were kind of all over the place, but you Mormons were like all clumped in one spot. They really were kind of everywhere. So, but anyway, not the point. Newark, Illinois. George A. Smith, that's where he was. And yeah, this is, so yeah, he mentions him, George A. Smith, 1844, Newark, Illinois. George A. Smith is there, sort of preaching and visiting these members. That's what he's referring to. He knew the history. I mean, it's his dad, so that's his dad's cousin. That's Joseph Smith III's dad's cousin. He's in Newark. They actually were promoting Joseph Smith's presidential campaign. So my earliest videos, I'm like, I really didn't know. I knew nothing. I was like, well, maybe G.S. Bibbins' photography. He was 22 at the time. He was in his 20s. But the picture was printed in the 1860s. I didn't know that. I've figured these things out over time. And so that's why I think I'm just going to post my old videos just to show how exciting it's been to just find out little things. And I really think it's the Provenance side that might really help my case. But I just keep finding out more stuff, and I'm like, that's 2 miles. Millington? A few miles from Millington, but north or south, he doesn't really say. Maybe north, but still, like, you could walk. I walk this easily. And it took him several days to get probably here. But still, that's so close to J.S. Bibbins, who was working as a photographic artist at this point. Okay, so this is the 1860 census. He is an artist, photographic artist. He's 38, J.S. Bibbins. His son's name is Elisha. His father, Elisha, knew Emma Smith. So yeah, you can still access my website. You just have to click on like 3 different things. But I don't even sell anything on here, so there's no way I can get your credit card information, which is what the warning says. This is someone impersonating, and I'm like, no, this is just my website. So that's why I only have like 1 view a day. Usually I know there's, and I know a lot of people follow me because they just want to see what's happening. They're really super supportive, but I don't care. That's okay. I appreciate the people that have been supportive. I mean, there's some people that are like big names that I'm just like, what? But it's just very flattering, and there was this one girl that's kind of well known, and I was just kind of like, did I offend her? But I just worry about those things. And I ended up offending her. Didn't mean to. But I think she didn't understand that I really was sincere. I was like, I appreciate that you did follow me, then that comes off wrong. But still in that moment, like several years ago, suddenly, you know, I thought no one cared, and then this one person followed me, and then like 100 people followed me the next day. I don't make money off of this website. I don't make money off these videos, you know, but we're just compiling stuff. And I think the Provenance side is really where it's at. I know it matches the death mask extremely well, and I've had it analyzed. So but it's like the vest is too unique, you know, so close to Joseph Smith III, who is the son, you know. I could see him. Here he is, October. He could have just put this, the daguerreotype one could put his jacket and just go there, run in that guy, get it copied, run back. A few days later, he's back in Nauvoo. Here you go, Mom. Here's your daguerreotype back. Oh, here you go, Aunt Lucy. Here's a paper cartridge of Z. And they wouldn't have known that it would have gotten damaged, but for sure heard this picture, which I can't show you the daguerreotype, but it's not like it matters. But the daguerreotype, you see that oval, it perfectly matches that. But they had to take the glass off to get this done, and this looks really clear, but this is so much clearer than the original, because once you take that glass off, it gets damaged. And so that's why I think if this letter's real, I mean, it could be 19 years later that he gets a chance to copy that picture again. Does that make sense, you guys? That could be 19 years since the glass was taken off the front of the daguerreotype. Air hitting it, it would have turned darker pretty quick. By 19 years, that's enough time for him to be like, well, see if it'll copy well. If I could find this, I think that's important because it shows that there's some doubt on whether it will. So anyway, but yeah, if anyone has the book Millions Shall Know Brother Joseph Again, was this from that? You know, if anyone has that and can tell me, maybe look in that book. It could be something that he had. I've tried contacting her to find out where is the reference, because all I know is this is from her blog. That doesn't help me, but it came from somewhere. So if you know anything about that, yeah, I still would really like to know where that, it's probably the Community of Christ. Yeah, they have a lot of stuff. But yeah, anyway, have a good day.